Hello, welcome back. Tonight I will speak about a book of mine, a grimoire called Lilith, and about Lilith herself. As I've said in another recording, this is a recording part of a playlist. Lilith has different names as well. Sometimes she is called Lilitu, or Lilita, or Lilitus, or just Lila, or Lili. It is this element of the root of the word Lil, Lilus, Lilutus. She has different names, but very similar, no? But she does appear, and she calls herself these names as well in the grimoire. In my book, it appears. In general, the names in the grimoires, they always repeat themselves. And I have written 11 grimoires until now, and Lilith is one of them. And I decided as well to create a book where I put all these grimoires together. So if someone is interested, it will be available. It will be called Galactica Encyclopedia, Volume 1, because I will continue to create a Volume 2 with more than 10 grimoires as well. And this also to say my first 11 grimoires that I have already, and I want to create this anthology book or collection book with all of them. And I really like the name Galactica, so this will be a bigger project, but a very nice one as well. So I had to do the 10-11 steps to reach this one too as well, and I'm happy to come to the idea, no? So as we have spoken in the other recordings, Lilith does carry the element of the new. It is almost like an intellectual mind, or that inspiration that comes and one follows, no? Is that element of that bravery or courage is very much Lilith. When we see her in her representation in art or in different parts, mainly she appears in paintings. And so, many have painted Lilith without knowing they have painted Lilith. Or Lilith appears in symbols in the paintings that no one thinks that's the element of Lilith, because they don't know what are elements of Lilith, you know. And once you know those elements that we already discussed here together, one can recognize the moment that feels very much that Lilith is there, or that inspiration or that idea comes from her, or there's a connection to her, or when one sees a representation of her, one is able to realize who that person is. Say, this is very much Lilith, the way she appears. And if you want to check on the other recordings on the thematic of Lilith, there is a link in the description box with the playlist of Lilith where you can listen from the beginning. So Lilith has many elements that we discussed that are very soft, very much about innocence, about purity, about that element of the soft white, something very young, something very beautiful. At the same time, there is a certain melancholy, a little sadness that comes to Lilith. And say, she is happy in her own world. And say, Lilith is never alone, but she is depicted alone with some type of animal around her. So, the most big symbol of Lilith is the snake. And say, Lilith and the snake are friends, are brother and sisters, are the same in one. That is the first element of Lilith. A second very important symbol is the owl. So, the owl and that element of the owl that she carries, of course, in a symbolic way. So we'll say the snake and the owl. And the third element, I will say, it is the tree. The trees are connected to Lilith in general in paintings, or she always appears with trees around, or one specific tree, or it's a certain type of tree. It is a recognizable type of tree that one can realize it is a Lilith tree, or is represented Lilith in that moment. And there are certain landscapes as well. So it is a more frozen, cold landscape, mainly with snow, white, very light blue, white colors in the painting. It is more on the colder tone as well. It is more on the green, colder tone or gray tone. But Lilith's representation is always in this white light. As I say, she carries that essence of that pure light from God. And say, well, it is her divine origin. It is her divine right, her divine gift. So Lilith does shine. No, it's that element of the divine light through her. So well, wherever she is, she creates that lightness around her, and she takes the center of that piece or of that painting or of that situation. Is that element of Lilith. It's very much full, it's very much there. You cannot miss Lilith, you know. It's that feeling, it's like, yes. And there's the element of the magic, two aspects of Lilith that we have spoken about. So, well, I believe Lilith can fly, and she has many supernatural abilities, because Lilith is not human. And so the element of the spirit is very important when we speak about Lilith. So, well, we can imagine her more spirit than human. She appears human. She is human too in a way or another. She was created by God, but she is not human. She is not like the rest of us. So, well, it is clearly so. There is no discussion on that, you know. It's like not everything has to be discussed. And so, well, that's what it is, no? So Lilith has that part which is very direct. There is no hide and seek. It is a very straight line, direct type of arrow. I say, well, there is not even an error. There is no errors when it comes to Lilith. So it is the truth. What I'm saying is the truth. That's the my conclusion on my expertise. No, so well, I have to my own expertise when it comes to her. And so the element of the spirit is very predominant when it comes to Lilith. So, well, she is more spirit, she is more bird than human. And in the old representation in the Mesopotamia time or culture, where she was most venerated, Lilith did appear with that legs of the owl. So, well, a third of her, or I say even more, because she has the wings. A 6-7 part of her is bird. That it explains what I want to say too. She say, well, she has that human appearance, and she has human as human can be, but she is not human. She has supernatural abilities, and she is, as said, more than half, say 67% bird. So it means the idea of spirit. She is more spirit. So that's why too, in some paintings you see her and sometimes not. Sometimes you see just her symbol. One can recognize it, one knows. And there are many paintings where she appears, or not appears in the light of her, but through her symbol, as I said, but most of the time she does appear. So the painter, of course, knows who Lilith is. And say every painter who have painted her already knew about Lilith or who Lilith is, no? And they have represented her in that beautiful painting. And say, well, there are some very famous paintings that connect to Lilith, you know, that I know very much. And it is a poetic feeling as well. So painting is a poetic feeling. A painting is a poetic work, finally. So the colors that we see in Lilith, we have that beautiful white of the lily. At the same time, we have the softer or colder tones of that white as well. Sometimes with little yellow, little blue, little green, but very much in that white and yellow element. And then it is, as I said, more white. And then sometimes it appears the element of total dark or brownish or something different, you know. In some paintings she appears floating, in some paintings she appears almost like hanging from the tree down. Her hair is stuck in the tree. You know, the trees are always a little bit different when it comes to Lilith, like they react to Lilith, they bend in the wind, or there's a certain atmosphere that comes with Lilith as well. There's a certain element of the wind, or of a strong wind, or a strong rain, or something like that. And as I've said, the tree is very much connected to Lilith. In every story, she will always appear with the tree, with the snake. That is Lilith. That is the element of Lilith. And say, well, the snake, the owl, and the snake, the owl, and let's say, well, there are other elements of the nature, but I forgot the third one anyway. The white element of the nature, or that dark contrast element of nature as well. And and then there is that connection to the sky. There's always an element of the sky when it comes into her paintings. So well, that the sky is very representative of how Lilith, or her origin, or her connection to the star, to her divine origin, as I said. In the old representation, she does appear with the stars and the 7 stars, or the 5 star, or the 7 star pointed star, no? It's all element of Lilith as well. And she always appears naked. That's the element of Lilith, the nakedness. It represents the purity of her, that beautiful aspect of Lilith, that element of freedom, the element of Lilith. They say, well, Lilith is exactly that. One does not need to find too much synonym. It is Lilith. And so, well, if she is naked and she has this red long hair, or it does not necessarily has to be the hair, but there is this element, or a certain, I can recognize this for me and myself. I know it is Lilith. This is Lilith. And I don't think the painter was always necessarily wanting to paint her. It was simply something divine in a way, you know. Another representation that she appears, I think without many painters to know, the symbol of the cave. The symbol of the cave is Lilith. That's the element of Lilith. I would even call it the first element, even if the others are very important. The element of the cave, when it appears, is Lilith. I can only say that. I don't have to explain why. I know, it is Lilith. That's the element, first most important element of Lilith. It's definitely the cave. So, it is quite an interesting point for me as well too. So, well, I have experienced it into my childhood moments when I was by myself playing in nature, and I did feel that pull, that I didn't dare to go there, but it did have the element of the cave. So, it is a symbolic meaning, but as I said, in the paintings, when a cave appears, even if it's a distant cave, just the element of the cave, it's very much Lilith. And of course, there are some elements which are very, very beautiful, as the water lily, or the element of the star. So it very much speaks about beauty when it comes to Lilith. Her appearance, her innocence, her pureness, her, there's a lot. They say, well, the Lilith does have that origin, does have that divine spark that she carries, of course. Well, it is Lilith. It maybe Lilith even means light. Is that element of her, that lightness? I do think so, no? And if her name Lilith is the water lily. So I do think that, or at least for me, it does make perfectly sense. There is a beauty, there is a certain arranged type of beauty when it comes to Lilith. It's not to say, it's just these colors. No. There is a beautiful composition that those painters have created, that ambience, that beauty of nature. So while the painter wanted to make Lilith happy, to give her something very beautiful, she's always represented very, very beautiful. Sometimes she is even represented sleeping, because Lilith is connected to the element of sleep. And I find those paintings very, very gentle and tender and beautiful. I say that that softness of Lilith, that element of the sleep, when she sleeps, no? And to say, yeah, okay, we do speak about a character, Lilith, that is very strong and has all these almost like darker qualities, no? At the same time, well, it is not her true self is actually that element. So well, she is both, no? Finally, it's not like one has to question that. And the element of the white is very predominant. It's only I can say that. The element of white, when it's a predominant aspect in the painting, it's very much element of Lilith. Or the element of the spark, like the sun shines in the element of the snow, that shining aspect. And the tap, element of the stars, one thinks of the stars. It's almost to describe it, I would say, well, it's not even these all the elements I'm describing, it's just that moment that it happens and it feels and you know it is Lilith. I say, well, maybe one has to develop a certain feeling to that to be able to understand it or do it. I said, it is my own interpretation through my own knowledge. So, well, I think it's like that. No, otherwise I will not say it. But I say, well, it is an interpretation finally. And the other element is the element of the night, the dark night, or when it's night in the sky, and one is able to see the beautiful stars. That is very much Lilith. So what more can one have? That's the element of Lilith. That's how she has been always represented. So it's the element of her divine origin, as I've said. And the element of the birds, of course. So well, it's not always, to say it's not always necessarily, but if there is not a bird in the painting, it is the element of the wind or of the flying, or something is moving, is the wind, or there's that movement. Or sometimes a lot of birds as well. And so, well, it can be the owl, or it can be darker birds, like crow, raven, or it can be more smaller birds, any bird, finally. So the element of the bird, as I said, is a very important aspect of Lilith, and is the element of the flying, or element of the floating element, the supernatural element, the magical element of Lilith. And I find all these elements very beautiful. I think it does give a good understanding and a good points to the element of the multiplicity of Lilith as well. She has different qualities, and some of them are very different or contradictory. And I find a lot of beauty in all these representations. So, far and foremost, I would say that one element of Lilith is that beauty, and what that really means. And so, well, it's just that, well, yeah, Lilith is beautiful. And so, well, yes, but it's like the element of your beauty understood on that element of what it truly means when it comes to Lilith. There is always more to know, always more meaning behind something, you know, especially when it comes to Lilith. And there's definitely the element of the spring, or the element of a lot of flowers blooming. That's another element of Lilith. It speaks about her eternal, she is eternal young. That's why I say Lilith is not human, because she is eternal and she remains always young. There's the element of the flowers. I say, well, nature loves Lilith and all creatures love Lilith. And that's another aspect of Lilith that makes her who she is. So it's like the element of flowers, or being connected to the element of the plants or of the roots, the element of the animals, the element of the regenerative powers of the snake, the intelligence and different abilities of the different birds, the element of the water, the nature, the water lilies, the element of the water, very much so. And it is simply, it's not an explanation, it is simply the fact that who she is. We say, well, she is first daughter of God. We say, well, Lilith is of course eternal. She does have that. We say, well, she is not human. That's why I say, well, sometimes one needs to repeat so one understands it. The more one repeats, the more one understands. So it is true. It is not a defect to repeat, or it is not a defect to necessarily go to a place and have that answer. So, well, if you don't believe, it's fine. It's like you can have your own opinion. So it is not a forced knowledge. So Lilith is all about freedom. That's the element that makes Lilith who she is. Say, if you cannot find the freedom in you, you will not be able to find the freedom in her, in Lilith. It's the element that one sees, the element that one has to free himself to be able to have that experience, or see Lilith, or experience Lilith. They say, well, there's no other way now. It is a little funny as well, or it is a joke in a way too for Lilith. So Lilith has that acknowledge of her divine origin. That's a very important point as well. And say, well, if we try to understand who Lilith is, she knows who she is. Lilith knows who she is, And there is this, as I said, in the paintings, the very beautiful elements that come around her. And so, well, it is a very protected space. It is a very special type of space where Lilith is. As I said, there is an element of the supernatural. If a painting has that feeling, and has all the other elements too, it's very much a presentation of Lilith in different ways. And say, well, it does not necessarily have to be a painting of a woman as Lilith to be Lilith, It can be a simple painting of a water lily. It's just simple as that. Or the element of the cave. Sometimes, the element of the more darker aspect of Lilith. And so, well, like the Dante cave, the element of Lilith. And so, well, is the dark cave and the fire that appears at that dark elements of Lilith. And so, well, Lilith does have dark elements as well. That element of the darkness, the dark sky, or the dark seed, or the dark crow, so the dark raven, or the white owl with the darker spots, or darker, They say, well, Lilith has different shapes, different forms, and the ability of camouflage as well, of course. And the regenerative power of the snake, of course. And the ability to fly of the bird, of course. And so on and so forth. That's what those symbols mean, finally, They're there for a reason, for us to see, to understand. It is not nothing strange. I say, well, if it is strange, it does not change the truth. And even others' abilities, of course. So, I say, going back to the element, I say, well, we do have the element of the purity, or the pure aspect of the water lily, of that innocence, of the pureness, of that most fragile part of Lilith, even the element of sleeping, the element of the hypnotic power of Lilith as well. So, well, Lilith is, or the lily water flower is a poisonous flower as well. All flowers have some little poison inside, So, well, even Lilith has a special poison, in the meaning of the her dark elements, or the more fiery elements of the element of the cave, of the dark night. It is very much Lilith, well, even the element of her red hair. But that element of the purity is who Lilith truly is, And she always has this element of the animals around her. So Lilith is never alone. Another animal that is very much connected to Lilith is the lion. The lion is very much Lilith. The element of Lilith is the lion. So in the Mesopotamic time, that's how they represented Lilith, with her feet on the lion or lions. So she has the leash or holding the lions. So she has power over the lions, over the creatures of earth. So if you have power over the lion, who is the most powerful from all creatures, you have power over all the creatures. It does speak about the element of the divine origin of Lilith. She is a protector of the creatures. The creatures know that. So Lilith is very much connected to animals. Now we have around her the owl, the lion, and the owl. No? So that's 2 elements, and the snake, 3 elements. And then we have the tree, the stars, or the element of the cold, the snow, or the element of the flowers, the nature, and or the element of the rivers, the lakes, the caves, the elements of the natural landscapes, or even can be mountains. So there is, one sees a lot of elements that one makes think of Lilith, because she is a very important. As I said, Lilith is very important. So of course she does appear in many different ways, in many forms, in different shapes, in different times, in different ways. There is a very beautiful representation of her that I think is really very splendid. And there is always the one can describe Lilith in many different ways, and all be true, but one will never understand Lilith. You cannot. The Lilith does not function after logic, and the divine aspect of her, or the different aspects of her personality, or her just the element of freedom and wildness that she represents. She is a wild wind. She is the element of the lion. She is the element of the bird, the owl. And she carries very different and very important things as well with her. And then I think that what makes Lilith be Lilith, that what makes her glow with that innocence and that trust and that love. So it is a divine light that surrounds her always. And I absolutely love the old representation of her. I think those are most beautiful ones. And I do find the paintings or the other artworks that I have seen absolutely maravillas, like meraviglia, bellissima, like very beautiful, a lot of Italian or even French, like très belle, a very beautiful type of paintings, artworks or drawings, or and I included, of course, in the images as well for us to see. And say, if you want to buy the Book of Lilith, there is a link in the description box. It is the grimoire that I have written for Lilith from all my other grimoires. And I will continue another time. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time. Bye.